increasing community awareness and utilization of indigenous grains to improve nutrition, security, and livelihood in Botswana and Namibia. This is a project to improve food security and livelihoods of vulnerable communities in Botswana and Namibia. Funded through the Swedish International Development Agency, SIDA, it is a partnership including the University of Botswana, Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, National Food Technology Research Center in Botswana, Botswana College of Agriculture, Market Matters Incorporated in South Africa, Cornell University Outreach Program, and the University of Namibia. The project targets the Morama Bean, an underutilized indigenous plant found in the Kalahari regions of Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. Even though research is still in progress, the results on the nutritional and functional qualities, as well as the potential technological opportunities, are very promising. To understand more about the Morama and its use, scientists met with local communities who have utilized it for many years to find out what they know about the Morama, where it is found, how it is grown, and any specific food and non-food uses.
This
is an indigenous bean that had been growing. I had known it more here in Namibia. It had been for years since we were small, and it's mainly knowing it for roasting, and particularly during hard times, our grandparents used to preserve it. And when it is after winter, during the tough dry times, you would occasionally once or twice a week see them being roasted, and then we would enjoy the meal of that.
I le kur bujang budelo wa khono butogola thata khone ka ko hote thela mara wa le on o ta o le hata sega ga bujanyana o golala o ntse o ba di thotsela khone ka ko di thotse tsone tseo ke tsone tse le ko di hulwa ka dinako tsa bo mariga yana o ta bo meletse sene ka dinako tsa le thabula ga ba siang o ta bo le metse wa tere bo ntse mo gore o ta bo khaorile ka so sengwe se o kare a ke tsere ke tare ke gore ta o khurumeditswela ke letalo le lengwe le le gore ha o le bolala go ta gona le so se o kare se tshwana le dluyana se go tatsa le so sa tegana gantsi yana bagolo ba o togela ka dinako tsa mariga o ta bo phaphaletsela ba go sela ditotsa teo di tsala mo sakeng.
Interestingly, both the scientists and local communities shared similar views about Morama bean.
The Morama bean, it's a wild bean that's found in the Kalahari area in Botswana mostly, and also we've seen some samples in the eastern part of Botswana, Serowe and so on, but mostly found in the Hansi area, Hansi-Jwaneng area.
In Namibia, Morama bean is found in 3 regions mostly, Omaheke region, Ochisonjupa region, and also Komas region. These regions are all in the Kalahari sands agroecology, so very much deep red sand soils in the eastern parts of Namibia.
It is a crippling plant, okay, which develops into which yields the beans. And the beans are a source of food for the people who live in the Kalahari.
We call it a bean, but the seed is actually a nut, which is as hard as any nut, like cashew nut or pecan nut or any other nut that you can think of.
Morama beans have traditionally been roasted and eaten as a snack. In addition, local communities have also used it for cosmetic purposes, such as body lotion and medicine.
Ramang ke botshelo ke bo gaisa dijo tsotlhe tsa naga. Ha o gaisa dijo tsa naga tsotlhe jaana o bona mo ka ha yo ne ko ntse le tswa le go e bua.
Kasa qaqasi kumku naboka ka 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 jabasi ka me damage kum ka suka ka qwa sisatse ka qwa ntse mkama e ka nsikinqemi kwentse
Morama o tsenya dikota gape gantsi mo bogologolo ya ka nna ke ntse ke golana nna ke bona morama rona ba sa rona ke bona morama gantsi bo me mogolo ne ba o dira ha ba sena go apa ba ntsha o makape o ne ao ne ba o sila ba ntho a sengla a kgona go kgola mathela gono a ba tshasana mabogo a sengla go thapisala ka morama mahora o nao ke ona a ntsha leswe mahora mangwe ke ona a ta ba tsena mo mmeleng ha sena go thapa yalo o ta bo tsena mo letsomong.
Recent research on the biological and chemical properties of the Morama bean have demonstrated its high nutritional and functional value.
It has very high protein content and oil content, and the oil is similar to what is found in like olive oil, which we know is very healthy oil in terms of being useful for cardiovascular disease. It also has good micronutrients, certain vitamins like folic acid, micronutrients like iron, which is usually limiting in many of our fruits and vegetables.
The quality of the protein is so good that Morama bean itself is health and enhancing food. It provides protein and also oil. The bean is about 40% oil, and the protein is a large amount of protein. It's about 20 to 30% protein. So it's a source of good nutritional food for the people in the Kalahari district.
Scientists are conducting further studies to understand the health benefits that Morama may have and getting very positive results. For example, the team's research funded by the European Union has shown that Morama bean has antimicrobial activity and can therefore be used to reduce infection from bacteria or viruses. They are currently studying other potential health benefits that could potentially add value to the Morama bean.
We have also found certain components which in other foods have shown to be good for like diabetes, like cardiovascular diseases and so on. So we are trying to do more research on those components to see, does those components in Morama bean also provide the same kind of benefit as we've seen in other types of foods?
Before the extensive research on the Morama bean, there was limited awareness that this little brown bean had high quality properties and could produce such a wide range of value-added products. The potential to impact the livelihoods of vulnerable communities was also little known.
We have had a number of research projects on the Morama bean in Botswana. The first one was done by the Botswana College of Agriculture looking at production issues. But there was not much research about Morama bean in terms of value addition. And so around 2007, we had a project funded by the European Union with a number of African and European partners. And our goal here was to add value to the Morama bean, also trying to understand more about its biological and chemical properties. And so we started from that. But it ended in 2010, and there was a gap obviously between the production and the value addition. Now we had products, we had information about its properties, which was very valuable, but we did not have a raw material supply. So we have now recently been funded by the Swedish International Development Agency to put the two together of linking production and value addition and creating awareness within communities where Morama bean is grown.
Considerable research has also been conducted to understand production issues. For example, what soil conditions, micronutrients, and moisture is required to produce high-yielding and nutritious seeds. Much research is still required, however, to provide potential farmers with the know-how to begin commercial trials, so this work continues.
Mo yo how nile ke pula ya tshwaragana apre motho o kai tshwantshana le mo kete o mokwakwa mme yone e le ntsho
Well, it prefers sandy soils. Experiments in the greenhouse have shown that each time when we compare soils, the heavier soil and the light soils, the seed will come faster, or the seedling will come faster, emerge faster in their lighter soils. So that tells us that Morama prefers light soils, sandy soils. We also have we're growing it in the gardens, in the fields at BCA. Although the soils are not that light, but they're sandy loam. So we haven't really tried it in the heavier soils or clay. But on the sandy loam to really sands, it grows faster.
Yeah, Morama Bean is a fascinating plant. It is a plant that requires very little in terms of water, in terms of nutrients to grow. So outside of its own wild environment, we are investigating on exactly what we should give it for it to grow better. But for now, all we know is not a lot is required to grow Morama. It's not nutrient demanding, it's not water demanding. But we know, of course, it is able to avoid drought. It is something special to avoid drought. So it can be drought hit, but it avoids drought. It is a special, fascinating way of avoiding drought.
As the scientists are conducting further research to understand the specific requirements of the Morama to grow very well, others are working simultaneously to demonstrate the value-added potential, including markets, and have formulated a range of different processed products.
Hare bua ka mafi a Morama ha ke haska ke simolla ka one. Mafi a Morama ke a gore Morama ha ka o tabole ho budule o le mo dikgaphentso le tsa one tse di thokwatse wa di thuba dikgapa tse go ntsha Morama o mo temo o ene gore one o mo sweunyana. Morama o be ile gore o ka silwa wa kopangwa jalo le metsi ga bo go apewa jalo go bo go munwa mafi a teng. Batho ba ileng gore ga ba kgone go nwa mafi a diphologolo go ngwa ba segisa mala kana re ba ka nwa mafi ona a Morama. Go tswa ha o bo go nna le yone botora ka kikile ka umaka botoro ya Morama e tshwana hela le a peanut butter ke hela go besa Morama one o bo silwa go ta go tswa yone botoro ene gona gape le bopi ba teng hela ja Morama ka kile ka umaka gore bo gona go dira gore bo thakangwe le maupi a mangwe le go thabolla bolenja ja maupi onao go bo go nna le gone gore mo tirisong yone ya maupi a ntseng jalo go na le gore o ka dira bo di cake ya bo di biscuits jalo tse leng gore ga bo go dirisitswe Morama mo boping bo ba teng. Jana ha re bua ka go dira ga mahura go na le motšhino o bidiwang press hela yalo ile gone gore wa tobetsa yalo gamole di tata tsa Morama kana nawe ya Morama ya ka ta bo ithubile o intshitse mo dikgapheng jalo o bo o itsenya mo motšhineng oneo o bo o teraisa yalo kana o dikolosa yalo gore go tapise dinawa tsa Morama tse mahura ba simolla rota ke ya ka go dira mahura a Morama.
The domestication of any plant is a long and complicated process. A team of crop scientists and molecular biologists is committed to this and working around the clock to achieve success.
Because of the potential that Morama has always been associated with as a desert plant or an arid growing plant, we are now beginning to realize that it's a plant that can easily, in our view, be converted to a cash crop, and for that reason we are beginning to experiment in a variety of ways to see what can we do to make it vulnerable in a domestication process.
It's a commercial, it's a potential plant for Botswana. The communities that you work with have identified Morama as one of the favorite plants. They have planted in their gardens, and we believe that really shows that it has a high commercial value and also even high commercial domestication opportunity.
To produce quality products that can have an impact in the lives of vulnerable communities takes a team of good quality researchers and involvement of consumers. These men and women have dedicated their lives in playing that role of improving food security and livelihoods through Morama Bean.
As far as commercializing or bringing it to a successful commercialized point, in the sense of having products and that out there, I think as we found with other indigenous plant resources, is it requires quite a lot of work, especially in terms of understanding the resource, understanding how people are currently using the resource, and then the science behind it that is very important, especially that initial science where you look at the properties and you investigate whether there's any interesting properties within these plants. We have found that without good science, it becomes very difficult to take the next logical steps towards developing a product, be it for the local market, be it for the regional market, or be it for international markets.
This team of researchers believes that there is so much commercial potential in the Morama Bean, such that value can be added to create agribusinesses leading to economic diversification in vulnerable communities.
We think that the Morama has so much potential, and it's just based on its nutritional value and the health value that I mentioned. Those are the two greatest characteristics that we believe are the reasons why we need to commercialize it, and we need to get the buy-in, obviously, of the agricultural sector, the farmers, the extension workers, the policy makers at home that would provide programs to support the commercialization. So this part of our project also involves all of that, getting the buy-in, creating awareness, getting people to understand the value of Morama and what it can provide from an economic diversification perspective, and creating avenues for poverty eradication, which is one of the key strategies for the government, and also food security.
A significant amount of new knowledge is emerging about the chemistry, processing applications, and health benefits of Morama. This has been obtained through various research projects, particularly using new technologies. There still remains a lot that is unknown. At this point, though, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Farmers and processors are growing an interest, and this is a good first step. This gives hope.
We've actually developed a range of products from the Morama Bean, including Morama oil, and we've also done Morama milk, Morama butter, a canned Morama product, something similar like baked beans. So there can be a whole range of products that Morama potentially can be used to make.
Getting buy-in from the stakeholders in the value chain, particularly farmers who can grow and supply the Morama bean, is essential. Programs are underway to increase awareness on the potential opportunities.
Re le banna se re se dirang ke go rotloetsa batho mo tirisong ya morama. ka gore morama ke sejo se leng gore go se itshupile gore se dikota dintsi ebile gape se ka dirisiwa ka methale e mentsi. Yaanong seabe sa rona gone go e be nna gone go mo go ruteng batho go dira dijo tsa mehuta e mentsi tse di dirilweng ka morama. Dijo tsa mehuta eo go na le mašwi a dirilweng ka morama, go na le botoro butter ya e tshwana le peanut butter e dirilweng ka morama. Go ka dirisiwa morama e le one kana ke re dinawanyana tse tsa teng tse di ka dirisiwa gape go thabolla boleng ja maupi, gongwe boupi bo tshwana le ja borotho, go ka kgona go thabollwa dikota mo borothong jo ka go dirisa morama.
At the same time, products have to be tested in the market to see if they are really what consumers want and find acceptable.
Yaanong se se tona gape se ga re dira di-products ke gore re sekaseke gore kgotsa re batle go bona gore batho ba di amogela ka tsela e ntseng jang, ka gore ha o dirile product o e dirile ke product e go but se botlhokwa ke gone gore batho bone ba akanyang ka yone. Re kgona re dira di-tests tse di harologaneng tse e leng gore di dirwa ka dimotšhini mo di-laboratoring tsa rona tse di lebelelang boleng jwa sejo se tla beng se dirile jaaka ga ile mafura jaana ke mafura a boleng boe.
Awareness about the value-added potential and even about the bean itself is necessary.
We're aware that some people are not familiar with the Morama bean. We've done a number of consumer studies with the products that we've produced. We've done them here in Gaborone, we've done them in Kanye, we've gone to Francistown and different parts of the country. And some people are not aware of the bean itself, but they are willing to purchase the product. We've done a number of studies in terms of willingness to pay. And so key issues that consumers are concerned about is the price of the product, what are the ingredients in the product, and also what are the benefits of consuming it. Will it provide any health benefits for them? But it does grow, as I said, in the eastern side of the country, and it's grown in other countries, in Namibia, in South Africa, and so on. So there is great potential. We really hope that our farmers and our processors, the agribusinesses, that this is something that they will take up. There is great potential when we look at the soybean, for example, and what a fantastic market that one has managed to achieve. We believe that Morama can do the same, but it obviously does need support, research support, but also programmatic support for farmers to be able to grow this thing commercially.
Re kile re le mo patisisong e nngwe ya dijo tsa setso ya re heta go gantsi ra utlwala go na le mongwe yo ene e bileng a setse a o lema. Yaanong ke dio tse leng gore di a nametsa ka gore ke se bapalwa nageng, and di bapalwa nageng o ithala go na le tshwenyego ya gore di kgona gore di hele ha ile gore ga di bapalwe ka tsela e ntseng sentle.
Despite the potential opportunity, challenges lie ahead. Overgrazing by animals and overharvesting by communities can lead to extinction of the bean. There will be need to support communities to ensure sustainable use of the bean.
One ko teng kwa ya teng ko maboane wa go collecta teng ko wa go itela ile gore o umile mo ditshimong tse ile gore blend body ya di abile bonthamo o itela le gore mongwe gongwe o togetse go ha o le molola bonthamo a lemile mme o le gona a lemile ete o kgona go bona gore o lemile ha go dimo ga one. So gore sa one se le se senang kota se se tswetse konte o bona gore montsi mogoma o sentse ditse konte yana be re bona gore me gape a re sa re batla go dirisa morama wo go ja hela a re bone gore me gape re ka dira gore re ga go preserve gore go sireletsa yana rona mo trust mo be re dira tshimoela ya 320 by 320.
When I was doing a research with the people I was interviewing they told me that there is a danger of baboons that fight for Morama because it's their natural food, so they have to be chasing them and they don't want to go away. And there's also danger of snakes because it's in the field. Snakes are there and any other dangerous wild animals like lions in certain places. Yeah, so those are the dangers, and also the distance where they get them, because they they cannot be found easily in the nearby places, because the ones that are near, people collect and they get like finished, and there's no conservation. So people have to travel long distances to go and collect them.
Our interactions with communities in the areas where the Morama bean is found, it's a bean that they regard highly, but that they have had less access to over the last 10, 15 years or even 20 years because of the changing land policies. Morama bean is a wild bean, as you may already know. The process of commercially producing it or domesticating it is still under development. So the Morama that is there today is one that is purely obtained from the natural habitat. With overgrazing, the Morama bean has reduced in quantities, with allocation of huge tracts of land for agro-pastoral farming. That has also reduced the available land from which communities can gather. There will be need for the development of a range of scientific tools as a further initiative to prevent extinction.
But I would say when it comes to when we come to looking more closely at these kind of resources, it's certainly something for the gene bank to consider to check for gaps in their accessions, to make sure we fill those so that we have that record of the genetic variability over time. So certainly it's something I think this project should maybe approach the gene bank about in future, just to make sure that we are covering all the possible areas.
As a resource that is found and is part of the fabric of communities where it is found, the Morama bean has serious policy implication. One at the level of sustainability at various levels. One level being, how do we sustain communities' knowledges about this bean in such a way that communities benefit from sharing their knowledge, which they will have to share with the rest of the world. For the success of this project, it shall require a very strong collaborative partnership by scientists, communities, and stakeholders in the public and private sector. Much more research is needed, including community empowerment, a policy framework on emerging crops, and the role that these crops can play in government's initiatives in poverty eradication and economic diversification.